a new edition of Kill Team, some plastic Kriegsmen, and some Orc Kommandos. It seems that any and all of those might be coming in tomorrow's preview. Hello and welcome back to Auspex Tactics, where today I just wanted to talk over some of the rumours that have been going around the internet for the things that Games Workshop are most likely to show off in the preview tomorrow. Compared with some of their previous ones, they do seem to be giving us really quite a lot of hints, both in the promotional material for the release, and also all of the Orc-related sneak peeks that they've been giving us in the articles over the last week or so. First we'll talk about the possibility of Kill Team, then the Deathcore rumours, then the possible Kommandos, and then a few more confirmed Orky kits that could well make an appearance. So Kill Team first then, and it does seem pretty much certain that Kill Team will be getting some sort of major release tomorrow. They've deliberately given the game away a little bit with the use of their characteristic Kill Team font on Octarius mission briefing. You can see it's fairly similar to the one that they used on Kill Team Pariah Nexus. I'd say it would most likely be a reboot of Kill Team. The game has been going through a bit of a lull phase throughout 9th edition. They had a fair amount of releases and content throughout 8th, but the rules weren't really updated in any meaningful way to go into 9th, and it does feel like main 40k and Kill Team have diverged somewhat. It hasn't received all that many releases in 9th edition, other than the fairly poorly received Kill Team Pariah Nexus box set, which I am sure a fair few people bought and enjoyed, but the discount on the miniatures wasn't amazing, seeing as it was bundled with quite a lot of quite niche Necron terrain, and it was the only place to pick up certain miniatures for a good month or so. If it is indeed a new edition of Kill Team, they'll likely need a new starter box. The current one's marked as no longer available on Games Workshop's web store, though it used to go for either £95, €125 or $160. Kill Team is played on a pretty small board, a relatively tiny collection of miniatures, and usually the starter sets have some sort of terrain in them. I'm going to guess that we're going to see a new one of those tomorrow, and the rumours coming from multiple sources that it'll be Imperial Guard versus Orks. So that brings us on to the second part of the rumour in the plastic Deathcore of Krieg, who also appear to show up very prominently in the artwork promoting Warzone Octarius, as you can see him loitering in the background of the announcement if you turn up the brightness and the contrast on the picture. Again, to me it does seem kind of unlikely that they'd specifically drag up a Kriegsman if there wasn't some sort of release on the cards. In the 2 days to go promotion they also have this nice fancy power sword going as well, which I could very easily see on a Deathcore Sergeant or Marshal. It certainly shows that it's not all going to be Orcs in tomorrow's preview. Additionally, quite a lot of people asked them if Krieg were coming on their Facebook page on these posts, and the Facebook person kept on answering questions with maybe whenever people suggested Krieg models, where usually if people aren't anywhere near the truth whatsoever, they usually tend to stay silent or say something like, "Oh, if we hear any news then we'll let you know." Plastic Kriegsman would certainly be high on the wish list for quite a lot of people, and there's a few more confirmations coming in from other rumour sources, such as Fate212, who I believe just posted something saying that the Guardsmen might just be generic trenchcoat fighters, not necessarily pure Deathcore. That could be interesting too, I guess. And Chapter Master Valrak, who seems to have some sort of inside information about this, also confirming that a Deathcore vs Orcs box is a go. In any case, Krieg are a really popular regiment. The gas mask trench-coated soldiers are just very 40k, and as armies go they are relatively common to be seen, despite the fact that Forge World charges so much for them right now. I know this is treading dangerous ground when we're talking about Games Workshop, but it might actually be a rare example of an army getting a price cut if they do come out with a few plastic Krieg kits. Currently Krieg infantry are one of the single highest priced kits that you could pay for the points that they cost in Warhammer 40k. If Games Workshop does choose to release some plastic Kriegsmen, I really hope it's not just limited to one single big Kill Team starter box. It'll be the sort of thing that I think people would want quite a few copies of if it was some generic troopers, so hopefully there'd be a way to buy them separately. Maybe it could eventually go the same way as Kill Team Cassius, who I believe came out in a Deathwatch Kill Team box at one point, and then got their own separate release a while later. Of course, if we are having a Guard vs Orcs versus box, then the Orcs need some miniatures of their own, and the most likely one that people seem to have been talking about in forums and things are Orc Kommandos. There's maybe not an absolute ton of evidence for these guys yet, it might just be basic boys or something, but at least fluff-wise, if you are having a small band of greenskins working together as a squad, Kommandos do seem super fluffy, and they'd certainly fit in with the small-scale engagement style that Kill Team has to offer. The other thing that weighs in Kommandos' favour, though, is that in the Warhammer Plus Animations preview, there was a seriously high-quality video of Deathcore fighting Orc Kommandos. A lot of their animations are quite nice looking, but for me this one really does look next level compared with a lot of things, perhaps on the same sort of caliber as the one where they had Sisters and Space Marines fighting Necrons at the launch for Warhammer 40k 9th edition. It would be pretty cool if they've got their animation studio to knock up a little launch trailer for Kill Team. Could certainly make tomorrow's preview a lot more interesting if we are going to see that in full. Quite aside from the fluff and the likelihood though, I think that Kommandos will be a really nice option to update within the Ork range. As Orks are getting such a serious amount of attention right now, they are one of the monopose fine cast resin kits that would really benefit from being rendered in some lovely plastic. That certainly made me a lot more tempted to pick them up. The older ones are nice and characterful, but they are showing their age a little bit, and having to work in resin is a bit of a pain. So whether or not we see Kommandos is still a little bit up in the air, I think, but we know for a fact that there's at least 3 other Ork models that they have told us are coming, but we haven't seen yet in full. The first one they showed us a sneak preview of, and they gave us a bit of his lore. There's a named Beast Snagger warboss called Mogrog Scragbaz, who's famed as being the Ork to tame the Great White Squig, who he now affectionately calls Big Chomper. He's almost definitely going to be showing up this weekend, as they've basically shown us a picture of most of the miniature right here. Behind the 4 days to go thing, that is the Great White Squig, as we've already seen smaller pictures of it before, and I think that that's going to be one that everyone's looking forward to seeing in full. What's not to like about a great big war boss riding a bloodthirsty squig into the midst of battle? Otherwise, as I've hinted several times already and shown off in the cave art, there's that big Squigoth drawn gun contraption. It looks like it's got a big gun mounted just behind the Squigoth, and then perhaps a place for a pulpit for a Werboy to stand. Could be quite fun if he could ride around in it, casting bolts of green lightning at the enemy. And finally, a detail that I missed from the Squigs preview was that we haven't actually been officially revealed the great big Beast Snagger war boss with a targeting squig yet. We've seen a very clear rendition of his miniature in the cave art, great big bone-coloured armour, a snappy looking bone claw, and a great big chopper of frankly enormous size. And they showed us his shoulder-mounted shooter with the targeting squig on it. And I quite like the way that they've put a little targeting crosshairs where its eye should be. To be honest, it's probably best to trust the squigs to target things rather than the Orks. So anyway, let me know your thoughts for what's coming in the preview tomorrow, and I'll most certainly be covering a full roundup on Auspex tactics, and I should have a short summary video out fairly soon after. I'm certainly looking forward to seeing some fancy new miniatures. If you'd like to see that, or just more coverage of Games Workshop's releases, feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics. I do tend to post videos almost every day. Finally, if you have been enjoying the videos on the channel, I would just like to quickly mention my Element Games affiliate link, which is one way that you can help keep these videos going if you'd like to. I have a link down to Element Games in the video description. They're a UK based discount retailer with a good 10 to 20% off Games Workshop's miniatures. If you were thinking about ordering in something anyway, if you click the link and buy through them, a small amount goes to help support Auspex Tactics without costing you any more whatsoever on your order. I thoroughly recommend them, as they've always had great customer service for me. For people over in the USA and Canada, I do also have a very similar Amazon affiliate link too. That one works basically just the same. Click the link, buy literally anything off Amazon whatsoever, Warhammer or not, and a small amount goes to help support the channel. Again, could just be something to consider if you are buying something anyway. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.